Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Zach Drew.
And I am Josh Peck. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm doing good. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
That's good. You know, I know that I enjoy what I do for a living.
Yeah, me too.
I do, because it's not a job, it's a calling. And I get excited whenever I find things that that are so interesting and so powerful, and I know that the majority of our sphere does not know about it. I get giddy to tell you. I'm so excited to tell you about the evil plans that are transpiring. But, and I say that, joking around, but seriously, there is some crazy things happening. I'm going to be, even talking about how we know that by 2030, they want to eliminate meat. The left hates meat. They hate meat. They hate produce. They hate, healthy things. And listen, I'm a big dude, so it's like, well, I just got talking about that. And the thing is, I've been making a lot of life changes over the last several months, and even including, buying a whole freezer to put fresh farm-raised animal products in, and got our new blender. Hey, you tried one of my new shakes, right?
Yeah, it was great.
With some organic, organic vegetables and kale and spinach and some healthy peanut butter and some collagen and protein. So I'm trying to do these things, but here's the thing. The left wants us sick. The left hates meat because of climate change. They're anti-meat because they want you to be unhealthy. They want you to be, they want you to depend on them. They want to shrink all of the cojones of all of the men. The lower the testosterone, the better for them and for their politics that men have low testosterone. And I want to explain that to you through a study, actually. And we're also going to be showing how because if they hate meat, there's even a link to possibly the jab, creating a pretty deadly, I don't know what you'd say, reactions to meat. Even the WEF talking about wanting to genetically modify the human race to make us meat intolerant. Listen, there's a lot we're going to be talking about on today's program. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? But before that, I got to let you know, listen, it is the last few days of October. We're kind of doing we're starting it right now. It's our end of year fundraiser. I'll go ahead and let you know because every year we need an absolute miracle to stay on the air. We have made the executive decision. This is very important for everyone watching. And I've got to remember to make this often between now and through actually the middle of January. I do not feel, unless there's a miracle that takes place and just a radical amount of funds come in because we want us to stay there, I do not feel that it is in our best interest to stay on DirecTV. All right? Now, we're still in 15, 20 million homes through Comcast Cable we're going to stay on, and Roku and Apple TV and all the social media platforms. But the cost of DirecTV and the people that watch, there's not enough that comes in. We're upside down when it comes to DirecTV. So we're not going to have this big $75,000 fundraiser this year. But we do need to raise $40,000, and I need everyone to get involved. Okay, everyone watching the program, please get involved. That is going to be to stay on PTL, that's Comcast Cable, in millions of homes throughout America, Roku, Apple TV, also to stay on TLN, which is another network for Comcast Cable. The $40,000 will go to maintain our call center and our contract with our web developer. All right, and we have a lot of things that are happening at IGBY and the Zach Drew Show and other places. I want to give you an update before we get into today's program. We have started a publishing company. Josh and I have.
Yes.
Called Renegade Publishers. This is a big announcement. We have just finished the rough draft of our first book. And God willing, it will be totally done in the next couple of months. We already have an incredible foreword written by Michael Snyder. The book itself is about 160, 170 pages with almost 250 footnotes. It's an amazing book, and it's called The Digital Dragon, The Rise of an AI Godhead. And that is something else we've been working on. It is almost done, and it'll be released here shortly. We also have the framework in place for an upcoming docu-series based on our book with future installments in the work. Now, the next one, I've got to walk on eggshells to figure out how I can talk about it. But I can say this, and I don't mean like, oh, I'm trying to hide it from you. I mean like legally, okay? Right. Josh and I are trying to launch something really big. A place free from censorship. Free from censorship. It's not associated with IGBY and the Zach Drew Show. It is not a 501c3, because 501c3s, at the end of the day, they restrict what we can say, and we do not want to muzzle any longer, especially with what we see coming in America. We've got to be in a safe place. I honestly think that, the IRS could make cases against us if they wanted to. I mean, they can take you down for anything. And, though we talk about political events, they can say, hey, no, politics allowed, whatever. We want to move to a safe place. Now, will the Zach Drew Show and IGBY will continue? Absolutely. We're doing a big fundraiser right now. It's to sustain us even while we're building this other thing. And we've got a lot of airtime and a lot of things. We've got to make sure that we're okay. We're staying afloat. But there are certain things I can't say because this is a 501c3. But we're building something. It's a platform that's going to be free from censorship. Many things have to take place before that can happen. And I can't speak about it on this program, but if you follow Josh Peck's personal page, you can on Facebook, you can see what that is, or I'll be making an update soon on my personal Facebook page as well. So I want to make this crystal clear. Any donations given to IGBY, the Zach Drew Show, this $40,000 we were trying to raise stays within the ministry. It does not go towards any other endeavors, which we are trying to launch. The other venture is not a 501c3, so it cannot mix. But we need to raise this money for IGBY and the Zach Drew Show to make sure everything on this end is taken care of. This fundraiser is to make sure the ministry can remain running while we are working on this other project. I've got to read it because I don't want to go to jail. Okay, so let's get into it. This is a fascinating subject. You're going to learn something new. So the article is this: practically everything you buy at the grocery store is owned by a few woke companies.
Yeah, and this is insane. So did you know that pretty much every name brand in your grocery store is owned by only a few corporations, and they are all left-leaning? The largest of these companies own hundreds of brands and make billions of dollars, which they use to support woke left ideology. Now, this equates not only to hundreds of millions in political contributions, but also in marketing their support of LGBT inclusion policies and other leftist views. So, for example, Ben & Jerry's co-founders have been trying to boycott Israel for years, even by making their employees watch video lectures of Palestinian activists lying about the Jewish state. Dove Soap actively pushes things like fat liberation and body modification for so-called transgender kids. Coca-Cola had training for employees that included instructions to, quote, try to be less white, end quote. Skittles partnered with GLAAD, G-L-A-A-D, an organization that supports radical gender theory, to create special Pride Month packaging for the candy that included slogans like "Joy is Resistance" and "Black Trans Lives Matter." The examples could go on, but with these huge corporations dominating grocery stores, it ensures that conservative customers like you and me will have fewer and fewer options for products that don't push leftist ideologies.
Yeah. So you walk through a Walmart and the majority of all the aisles you go through, it's owned by just a few companies, just a few. And some points or thoughts or whatever that I want to illustrate is, one, it's interesting to point out that these companies that own almost everything that is within the common American pantry or cupboard is entirely processed foods and candy. Isn't that interesting? It's interesting that these, and they're all woke. What does that mean? It's just so crazy to me. We talk about how the left has infiltrated the media. They've infiltrated every sphere. And that what the left even produces food-wise is bad for you. So I think we should buy buying fresh meat, right, and produce it with ingredients you can pronounce, and not all meat is created equally. I mean, we're talking about free from all the antibiotics and the hormones and all these things injected into it. But the left wants to eliminate meat, and they say it causes cancer. Not their other products on the shelf. Why don't you go eat some crickets, right? Go eat some crickets. The majority of our food comes from the left. So when they want to get rid of meat and force us to eat other things, will it be that difficult to enforce? I don't know. Conspiracy number one would be this. Here's a conspiracy I believe. I believe the globalists, I believe the elite want to make us sick. They want to make us weak and ill. And if you're ever wondering, what is right and wrong, or maybe it's difficult to differentiate in your own mind, and you're a Christian, first off, our ultimate foundation, our ultimate standard is the Word of God. Is the Word of God, right? But the Word of God doesn't talk about certain things that are in the political arena, specifically, it doesn't come right out and say, in First Nickelodeon's chapter 4, be thy anti against climate change, right? What I'm saying? But we have a mind, we have wisdom. God has given us a mind to be able to hopefully think reasonably. But if you're stuck on being able to figure out what's right and wrong, here is a filter in which you can view. And this is seriously weird. It's just we live in a weird point. I've come to the point in my life that if the left promotes or is advocating for something, then you likely need to be against it, right? And if they are protesting, opposing, critiquing something, you likely need to be for it. Article: eating lots of meat is bad for the environment. You see that on the screen. We don't know enough about how consumption is changing. So the World Economic Forum. The consumption, basically the line is this: the consumption and production of meat contributes significantly to climate change, scientists say. So people eat too much meat, and we need to cut down our consumption, and it will help the planet. So another conspiracy that is possible. It's not one that I'm willing to die upon this hill, but it wouldn't take too much convincing, and I might already be totally convinced. I'm just hesitant to absolutely put my foot down. But something that is likely is that the global elite want to genetically modify humans to make us meat intolerant. In 2016, Dr. Matthew Lau, a WEF, which is World Economic Forum. If you don't watch this show, that it's one of the most, it's like the WEF, the United Nations, basically one of the most powerful organizations is Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab is, the founder of the WEF. He's one step short of Dr. Evil, petting his cat. This guy's a wicked man. But so in 2016, this Dr. Lau, WEF bioethicist, he called for human beings to be genetically engineered to become much smaller in size and completely meat intolerant. Eating meat under the WEF's plans would result in a person becoming violently ill or even dying. I want to play a quick clip of him from way back in 2016. Take a listen to this.
So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance, to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Now, I'm just throwing this out there. It's likely that no one watching this program has ever seen that clip from WEF's Dr. Matthew Lau. And if there are people, I congratulate you, but I think that there's a very small percentage of people. Now, personally, this is where more people have probably heard of it, but I hadn't. Wasn't something that I had kind of ran across. I had really never heard about ticks making people meat intolerant. Right? Well, Zach, maybe you need to get more informed. I just didn't. Right? So we have the WEF, one of the most powerful Wiccan organizations on earth, clearly saying that meat is evil. Meat will not only give you cancer, but will contribute to the extinction of mankind. Drop the steak, people, right? I mean, when we have the WEF mentioning a tick possibly being the key to their plan, that's kind of weird, right? I mean, golly. And now we fast forward to 2023, and I'll tell you, I don't feel all warm and fuzzy when I read articles that say Aussies warned of tick bite danger after 450,000 red meat allergy cases emerge in U.S. Here's another article put on the screen. Red meat allergy caused by tick bite is spreading, and nearly half of doctors don't know about it. They hate meat. I'll tell you right now, my response to it, in the last few months, I bought an entire freezer that's taller than me. I'm 6'1". Okay? And I have filled it to the best of my abilities because it is very pricey with meat, and all from local grass-fed or pasture-raised, everything natural meat. Have you heard about this tick thing?
Yes,
actually, you had.
Yeah, and this is not just some conspiracy. This is established fact. So in 1975, in Old Lyme, Connecticut, a new disease broke out and it was caused by ticks. When the CDC actually put all the cases on a map, it turned out that ground zero for the outbreak was a place called Plum Island. Now, in 1954, the USDA established the Plum Island Animal Disease Center on Plum Island. The center researches animal pathogens. And when the outbreak happened, it led many people to wonder, because it was ground zero for it, was this an accident, or was the government experimenting on people without their knowledge? Now, before you think that that's crazy, this is an established fact. The government has been doing this. In the 1930s, the government infected unknowing black males with syphilis to test the effects of the disease. So it's not ridiculous to think that they may have done that with infected ticks. In fact, tests without consent have been conducted as recently as the 1990s, and that's just what we know about. Many even on children. The government, of course, denies that bioweapon research is happening on Plum Island and actually denies that infected ticks were purposely released on citizens. But can we really trust them?
No.
So here's what's really interesting about this. The bacteria in ticks that cause Lyme disease was discovered by Willy Bergdorfer. Now, coincidentally enough, early in his career, Bergdorfer developed biological weapons for the U.S. military, and more specifically, he weaponized ticks. In the 1960s, government researchers released 300,000 research ticks into the wild in Virginia. One of the species...
What?
Yeah.
I have never...
Yep, between the years of 1966 and 1969. And by the way, if people sign up for the Paul Revere report, you'll get the citation, the actual source for that fact. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is insane. And these ticks were irradiated so they could be tracked and everything.
And is one of these species the Lone Star tick?
Yeah, one of the species released was absolutely the Lone Star tick.
And that's one of the things that's going wild, that, they're saying that it's contributing to all this intolerable and even deadly meat allergy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And really interesting, like Zach just said, one bite from a Lone Star tick can trigger an allergy to meat called alpha-gal syndrome. And a CDC report showed that between 2010 and 2022, more than 110,000 suspected cases of AGS were identified. However, some estimates are as high as 450,000. I'm not a coincidence theorist. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Okay, this has never happened before. I didn't read your notes on this. Okay, and this is, oh my gosh. So you said that a bite from a Lone Star tick can trigger an allergy to meat, and you used the word alpha-gal?
Alpha-gal syndrome, AGS.
Okay.
And people can go on the CDC website right now and look up information about that. This isn't conspiracy.
Other points of conspiracy linked to meat allergies that is even possibly more convincing than a Lone Star tick, I have in my notes. And it has something to do with what you just said. I can't believe this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to bring on the program, and I was going to say how there's articles that are even saying it could be this tick, right? And it's a conspiracy. Like the globalists at least want us to stop eating meat. Could they have released these ticks? Gosh, they released 300,000 at another location. Like another time, what did you say that was in Virginia?
Yeah,
Virginia,
in the 1960s? 300,000 ticks between the years of 66 and 69.
It's like, who's to say they're not releasing these Lone Star ticks to literally make the masses intolerant to meat and trigger an allergy to meat called alpha-gal?
Yeah, alpha-gal syndrome.
Oh my goodness. I want you to see this article. Go ahead and put it on the screen. Emergency health alert. Scientists confirm vaccine triggering epidemic of meat allergies and cancer. Okay. And now here's the article. Alpha-gal, cow proteins in COVID shots are triggering meat allergies worldwide.
Wow, really?
So
see, I didn't read your notes either. I had no idea that you
some
found
people
that.
are saying it's the tick that's triggering an allergy to meat called alpha-gal syndrome. And that is a right presumption until you learn that alpha-gal cow proteins are in COVID shots. And that is likely what is triggering these horrible meat allergies worldwide. You know, and it's not, here's the thing, is that, like I said, that they don't want us to eat meat, and they even have years on it. Published in 2019, The Future of Urban Consumption, here's a report, sets out targets for cities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions as consistent with the 2015 Paris Agreement ambitions, okay? And it seeks to eliminate meat consumption by 2030. This is crazy. All right, so let's talk about this. So why, we're almost out of time for the show. So why are they against meat? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't really have the answer to that. The one answer, because I honestly think the answer could very well be multifaceted. One answer, maybe because the woke companies have less control over meat. You know, the ranchers and farmers have a great deal of control. Is it to further universal health care? You know, they take away the clean. That's why they're, you know, gosh, who's Big Pharma's greatest enemy? Who do you think? I think it's it's people like your wife.
Yeah, all natural remedies, holistic health.
And she's certified in what's her certification?
Actually, I don't remember the exact certification.
That's okay. We're keeping that in. We're keeping that in.
Oh, but I said it so quietly.
She's certified in natural. It's fancy, people.
Yeah. It wasn't cheap. I paid for it. I remember my wallet felt a lot lighter after we put it through.
So yeah, the Big Pharma doesn't want people to be healed naturally. They want them sick, right? So they want people sick and dependent on them. And the government wants them sick and dependent on the government. They want them to be slaves under the government. Another theory could be depopulation, right? Or maybe, here's another interesting one. Maybe the left wants all, all men to be gender-affirming soy boys. Toxic masculinity is the enemy of the world. Therefore, we must emasculate men, fill them to the brim with soy, shrivel their kahunas, destroy their testosterone. Zach, what the heck are you talking about? Well, first off, it is a fact that things like unprocessed red meat increases testosterone. It is a fact that all of the soy and all the processed meats and processed foods and all these things, it destroys a man's testosterone. With that being said, I actually want to share with you an amazing, and it's funny, but it's serious, but it's funny, but it's amazing. It's funny, but it's serious. Okay, so a study. This is going to illustrate why I believe the left is actually would like to see testosterone levels in men. Because, like I said, they want to emasculate men. We know that. And let's just get into the article, the study. Early last year, Reina Sileuman Alagali, then a PhD candidate at Claremont Graduate University, published her doctoral dissertation, a wide-ranging series of essays in behavioral economics and neuroeconomics. And this study has been making waves, and now other studies have actually been going on to basically say, hey, you know what, this is right on, this is true. The text recounts a 2011 experiment. Researchers tested 136 healthy young men's testosterone levels and asked them about their political party affiliations, then gave them either a placebo or 10 grams of androgel, 1%, a high-end dose of a common form of testosterone, often used in hormone replacement therapies. The next day, they tested the men's T levels and asked them about politics again. Their baseline measurements found that staunch, self-identified Democrats, these were all men in the study, the most hardcore Democrats in the group of 136 had the lowest testosterone in the entire group. And they asked about the politics again. Their baseline, like I said, had lower T than anyone else in their sample pool. And after dosing all of the men, they found that men who had previously expressed weak affinity for the party felt much less connected to it and much warmer to the Republican Party. It's interesting to note that not a single Republican changed their views. The study concluded that basically every single one of those men became more conservative based on the amount of testosterone in their body. The left, woke, controls almost everything we eat. All of it's processed, filled with soy, detrimental to our health, destroys, gives us cancer, and destroys our testosterone. And so I believe it is a ploy. Here's another conspiracy. I believe it is a ploy of the elite to weaken men. They are anti-testosterone. And the less testosterone a man has, the more likely he is to be a liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Listen, this is wild show. Oh, we're out of time. Close out the show for us. What do you have, Josh?
Sure, yeah. And I mainly want to end with this. As with so many things that we talk about on this show, this is really an attack on God's own natural order of things. It's people wanting to take the place of God and rebelliously change the way he has things set up. They're temperamental, immature children thinking they know better than God himself. And we see this rebellious attitude in every facet of life. But we must remember that God is ultimately in control. Psalms
Amen.
37, 12 through 13 says, "The wicked plots against the just and gnashes at him with his teeth. The Lord laughs at him, for he sees that his day is coming." It is our job to wait patiently on the Lord and do good according to his teachings while we are here. It's not our job to wallow in anger and hatred. Yes, we do need to take action when we can by voting or getting involved in making changes in local communities, but this should be motivated by a love for the Lord and truth that he has revealed rather than anger and malice towards evil people. So I'm going to end with this, Psalms 37, 7 through 8. "Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret, it only causes harm." And I just remembered what my wife is. She is a board certified holistic health coach.
Were you texting her or something whenever I was talking?
I think telepathically she realized I had made a mistake, and then she remembered for me.
That's so funny. Listen, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's program. Once again, we are in a massive fundraiser. We've got to raise $40,000 before the end of the year. We are going to be, unless we raise $35,000 more than that, which would be crazy. We do plan on going off of DirecTV. We're going to stay on, in nearly 20 million homes through Comcast Cable, all Roku TV, Apple TV, all of our social media platforms. We are going to remain there, but we are trying to raise $40,000. So please, would you consider giving a generous amount towards our goal this year? You can go to www.zachdrewshow.com, click that bright orange donate button, and ask the Lord what you should give. You can also call the number on your screen, and it might, sometimes it takes a couple minutes for them to pick up, but I ask that you would just remain on the phone until they pick up and give a donation through our call centers. You can call that number on the screen as well. Also, you can write us at Zach Drew Show, IGBY, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. Just please put in your memo that this is for our end-of-year fundraiser. God bless you. We'll see you next week.